Teachers of the novel Adventures of Huckleberry Finn should be aware that three major objections have been raised against this novel by literary critics over the years. And it would behoove instructors to be able to discuss these and answer the objections. The first objection raised is Huckleberry Finn's periodic sense of superiority to Jim that he expresses in various ways. Probably Mark Twain injected this element because he felt it would be unrealistic in the 1830s for even a white boy like Huckleberry Finn not to realize that to be free was to have a advantage over any African American slave who, after all, did not even own himself. But also, probably Mark Twain was trying to explain how he himself, in his earlier years, had felt that slavery was an almost natural arrangement in the universe. There's no question but what Mark Twain grew up in a household that contained a number of slaves over the years, and that he accepted this practice. The second objection raised concerns Jim's uneducated speech patterns. It might be explained to the students that actually Huckleberry Finn's speech is hardly formal or grammatical. Huck has not availed himself of very much education. He's avoided school as much as he can. Still, his speech is different than Jim's. We must realize that after the Nat Turner Revolt, most southern slaveholding states adopted very stern state laws and measures designed to prevent slaves from learning to read or to write. And whites who taught slaves to learn to read or write were subject to prosecution involving heavy fines and prison sentences. Therefore, Jim was not allowed any schooling whatever, and his speech reflects the completely oral culture that eventuated. The third and most serious objection that critics repeatedly raise is that the conclusion of the novel does not befit the center raft passage. This is because Mark Twain decided not to make it a tragic novel. Jim does live, and Jim does find that in reality he doesn't need to fear slavery as much anymore. However, Mark Twain was simply reverting back to the spirit and tone of his earlier novel, which we might call a prequel, Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Tom Sawyer. And he was trying to balance these two books. Mark Twain conceived of these two novels as companion volumes, and he gave us an ending that picked up the tone of both the earlier novel, Tom Sawyer, and the beginning of Huckleberry Finn. Again, Tom Sawyer reappears as a character, injects his ridiculous notions of romantic literature, and taps into a lot of dungeon literature that he's been reading. Students will not be familiar with the dungeon literature that Mark Twain brings to bear on Jim's captivity, and it would help if the teacher described a little bit of it, such as the Dumas novels, Man in the Iron Mask, Count of Monte Cristo, and so forth, that Tom is imagining. It should also be pointed out that in one of the concluding chapters, Jim asserts himself and Huck follows Jim's lead in refusing to shove off on the raft after Tom's been shot. So in reality, Jim and Huck take control back of the novel at the very end, and much to Tom Sawyer's distaste, they seek medical help for Tom. Therefore, it could be explained to the students that the ending, in the larger sense, befits the novel and does not injure this masterpiece. I have discussed all of these issues and the various objections to Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in my introduction to the NewSouth edition. The teacher will also find there a list of further readings that could be helpful in classroom presentations.